So in this video, I'm going to talk about survival mode, and I'm going to link it further on in this video to romantic relationships and dating. But first, I'm going to tell you about survival mode, what it is, and signs. So as you see by the title of this video, it's survival mode, why you got used, or why you use them in a romantic relationship or dating. So survival mode, what is survival mode? Survival mode is a period in time, or is a period when you are struggling to get by. You are going through the day, trying to get through the day or days. You are like full of fear on a daily basis. You worry a lot. You're being stressed out constantly, day by day. Everything is urgent. Your sleep get disrupted. You can't think straight. You might retreat during a stressful time. Or survival mode includes a release of stress hormones and the activation of your stress response system, which causes physiological and psychological change or reaction within your body and your mind. So this stress response system get activated like when you're in survival mode. So the stress response system is it's an emergency reaction of your body, right? So it includes physical and thought responses of your perception or of your reality, or of various situations that you are experiencing. So when this stress response system is turned on, is activated, you release substances like adrenaline and cortisol, right? So you would get some physical responses like weight gain, constipation, low energy, stomach cramp, insomnia, headache, nausea. You feel weak, you lose weight, diarrhea, trembling, your mouth is dry, your hands or your feet feel numb, blood pressure goes up, you feel lightheaded, always needed to go to the bathroom. Like, those are some physical response. And the emotional response or the thought response would be like you feel restless, you get mood swings, you get nightmares, you have symptoms of depression, you feel hopeless, you overthink, there's intense thinking, you could lack motivation, you get anxiety, you lack concentration, you get angry quickly, oft and often, you feel guilty a lot, you could feel worthless, you could be expecting the worst every day, you're defensive, and so on. So those are like emotional responses, right? Some behavioral responses would be like you start avoiding people, you start smoking more, you lose importance in your appearance, you might overspend, you might not eat, you might stop exercising, you sleep a lot, you're not doing relaxing activities like you used to, you have poor hygiene, you eat too much, you might be arguing a lot, you stop doing fun activities, you could be seeking reassurance and validation often. So this is some of the things that happen when your stress response system is activated. So survival mode activates your stress response system, and those are some like signs, symptoms. Now, reasons why we enter survival mode, right? Causes of survival mode, things that lead to survival mode. Well, that could be, for example, in COVID-19, that could lead to survival mode. You're uncertain, resources were limited, you probably lose your job. That could cause you to go in survival mode. Maybe you're a new parenthood is new to you. You might lack support, you might lack finances while you're a parent. Maybe you have a family crisis, so you're getting abused, somebody is getting abused. Maybe you have an unplanned pregnancy, maybe somebody is ill in the family and it's going on and on. Maybe you experience a natural disaster that could put you in survival mode. So what else could put you in survival mode? You're in a relationship and you have conflict going on and on. Things are not getting well. Other things that could put you in survival mode, you get a new job and then that job doesn't work out. You could lose your job. You could be living paycheck to paycheck. That could cause you to go in survival mode. Financial problems, always being broke. Lack of basic needs being met, food, clothing, transport. You could get thrown out your home. You're homeless. You could move to a new home. You move to a new country. That could cause you to go in survival mode. A family member died. Your friend died. That could cause you to go in survival mode. Or you experience a divorce, or a relationship end. It could be platonic relationship end, or just rupture in your romantic relationship. You break up. That could cause you to go in survival mode, right? So some signs that you're in survival mode. So before I connect this to romantic relationship, some signs of survival mode. Well, if you're in survival mode, how to know if you're in survival mode? Well, fatigue. You're always tired. Your mind and your body could be tired. You could be lethargic. It just takes a lot of willpower to do anything. You feel tired all the time, right? Next sign is that you're emotionally reactive. You get irritated quickly. You could be aggressive. You could be yelling a lot. You could be crying a lot. Next sign, you're in survival mode. You lack focus. You lack concentration. You have trouble finishing activities. You're zoning out, like you're going in a different world. You look like you're like losing focus. It's hard to finish your project. It's hard to meet the deadline. And next time you're in survival mode, you find it hard to take care of your basic needs. You forget to shower. You forget to brush your teeth. You're not exercising. You don't change your sheets. You not cleaning. You're not sleeping well. You're watching too much Netflix. You're watching too much series. You're playing too much video games. You're right. That's the next sign you're in survival mode. The next sign, there's a prolonged grief. Maybe someone died. Yes, it's normal to grieve and feel sad, but it's taking a long time for you to get over it. It's going on and on and on, and you're not improving over time. And next sign you're in survival mode, well, impulsive. You might spend too much money. You might do risky behaviors, like hooking up, using drugs, taking too much alcohol, eating more, not eating. Next time you're in survival mode, you start losing your memory. It's hard to remember situations. You can't remember what happened throughout the day. You don't remember what you did yesterday. You forget deadlines, you forget important events. You don't remember what you did, you don't remember what happened. You're just like losing your memory, right? And next time you're in survival mode, well, you withdraw. You isolate yourself from others. You stop doing activities you love. You have symptoms of depression, anxiety. You're fighting hard to not break down, or you're breaking down often. It feels like, if you're in survival mode, sometimes it feels like you can't ask for help, or there's no one to ask for help. You could get brain fog, where like memory problems, can't remember, you can't concentrate, you lack focus, you just lack mental clarity, your mind is fatigued. Next sign you could be in survival mode. You procrastinate, you feel stuck, you can't progress. Next sign is just like you're just trying to get through the day, you're trying to get by in life. And next sign is that it's difficult to multitask. You used to multitask, but then now you have to concentrate on doing one thing at a time. So those are some signs that you are in survival mode, or that somebody is in survival mode, right? So that's signs of survival mode. What is survival mode, and a little bit about like the stress response system in your body. So I'm going to link survival mode to romantic relationships right now. So the connection with dating and being in a romantic relationship with survival mode. When I say survival mode, it's like, I already explained what is survival mode, but The basic, when I talk about basic needs from now, I'm talking about having money, having shelter, and transport. So you could be dating, you could be in a relationship, and people may manipulate you while you're dating. And they may use you for their benefit because they are in survival mode, right? You could be dating someone, you're in a relationship with someone, and they care more about what you can do for them than they care about you. And that is because you meet them in survival mode, right? Something traumatic probably happened to them, or remember the reasons or the causes that you go in survival, why you go in survival mode. So people could take advantage of you because they're trying to survive and they are in survival mode. And you might not realize in the moment that they are in survival mode, or you might not know what is survival mode until long after, where you realize that you have been manipulated or you have been used in some way, right? So you get used, you get manipulated and taken for granted when you date someone or you're in a relationship with someone who is in survival mode, who don't have their basic needs met, who lack money, who lack a place to stay, who don't have their transport in order. These are basic things that we need in life. And you might meet someone and they're in survival mode and they could use you. So I'm just giving you some signs to show, so you can see if you're being used while you're dating someone or you're in a relationship with someone who is in survival mode. So if you're dating someone and they're in survival mode, they could ask you for money, or they could ask you to do favors for them. So for example, they might ask you to pay their rent. They might ask you to help them pay bills, you know. And you might do this in hopes that you get a relationship, or in hopes that you get a more serious commitment. But you probably didn't realize that they're in survival mode, they're trying to survive, they're stressed and trying to make ends meet, and that is why they would use you. And it could go vice versa. I'm not like pointing the finger at people who are in survival mode. That's normal to be in survival mode at some point in your life. But people get used when other people are in survival mode. And another sign that you could see that you're being used in a romantic relationship, because the person you are dating or in a relationship with, they are in survival mode. They might just move in with you unexpectedly. They move in with you. They eat your food, they use your water, they use your electricity, they use your Wi-Fi, and they don't have the basic needs met. And then after some time pass, they might not pay you back. Maybe they get back on their feet, they're in a better place in their life, and they might not pay you back. They probably build their finances and then they probably just leave and didn't pay you back. Another sign that you are being used by someone who's in survival mode, you're in a relationship with them, they appear to be disinterested in you after they get their needs met. So after you probably help them basic needs with money, you probably help them with shelter or some transport, they're just disinterested in you after they get their needs met. They'd use you to meet their needs, and then they don't spend time with you otherwise, or after they fake that when they already get their needs met, they already use you for what they want. They might then, to avoid you or to not spend time with you, because they might not really like you, care about you, or be interested in you for real, because they are using you to get by, to get their basic needs. So they might, when it's time to be with you or spend time with you, they might just fake that they're sick, you know, they got some diarrhea here, or they stomach ache, or their head hurts, or they're so fatigued, or they're tired, or something like that. Or maybe they say like, I have this emergency that I need to take care of, and they just do what they need to do. After they got their needs met, they fake and they complain and say that they have some problem or sickness, and they don't spend time with you. They just act disinterested when they already get what they want. So maybe they turn their phone off when it's time to, like, maybe you plan a particular activity. They turn their phone off in a particular moment, or they don't answer your call, or they don't respond to your message, or they already got what they need. So it's kind of easy to use you because they might not really care about you, they might not really love you, and it's just really easy to not be interested after they get their needs met. They're in survival mode and you are like a resource, right? So that's the third sign you could see that you're being used. Fourth sign is that they're only affectionate or intimate with you when it's convenient to them. When they want something from you, then they start to be affectionate towards you, right? So people could use you not only for material things, they could use you for your body, for your energy, for your attention, for your presence, not only for material things. Maybe a guy might use you because of your energy and how you make him feel, and maybe he feel like, I don't know, he could boost his ego with you or something like that, not only for material things. So another sign that you might be being used while dating or in a romantic relationship is by someone who's in survival mode is that the person doesn't make effort to be there for you when you really need them, right? So maybe, for example, their parent died and you were there for them. Their parent died, or a family member died, or a friend died for them, and you were there for them during this time. And then maybe after a couple months or so, you're in a bad place, you're in a low place in your life, you have a period of sadness or depression, you're going through a hard time, and then you realize they don't make time for you, or you may have lost your job, or you have some conflict at home, or like you have some family crisis and you need support, and they're not there for you when you really need them, right? So you might actually, which there's a problem here with you also, you might actually be there for them because you, in hopes that they would give you a relationship, in hopes that after I be there for them and give them support because their parent died, they might be with me, they might actually be in a more serious commitment with me. So that's why you probably was there for them, and then they were in survival mode. That's the reason why we go in survival mode. Our parent died, a friend died, you lose your job, something happened back to you, and you go in survival mode. And you support them, and then when you go in survival mode, they're not there, so they might just be using you. But then you also were being there for them just because you in hopes that they would give you a relationship. So both of you could be seen as manipulating each other, right? So being used, being taken for granted can lead to symptoms of depression and anxiety and trauma. So you just need to be careful with who you're dating and who you're in a relationship with. For example, knowing whether or not they're in survival mode, right? So if you continue on being with somebody in survival mode, you're actually making yourself have bad experiences, and then it might be hard for you to trust people. It might be hard for you to form new relationships because of your bad experience. And I believe that you should work on your self-esteem and you should work on your self-worth before you get in any type of serious relationship and dating. So you're not used by people who are in survival mode. So you would know your worth, you would know when you're being used, taken advantage of, or being manipulated. And also, you should have your basic needs together, taken care of before you get in a relationship. right? Um, unless you're having an honest conversation or you make a negotiation with someone to just agree on what we're using each other for, you have to be actually transparent and honest and mature to have a conversation to explain to each other, okay, I'm using you for this, and I'm using you for this, and you're using me for that. Could just be honest and explain to each other what we're using each other for. But most people, they cannot be honest, right? And some people, they cannot keep their end of the bargain. So some people, they might say, yes, I'll do this. If you do this for me, I'll do that for you. And they change and they don't do what they say they would do. So that's another problem, right? People change, right? You might even have a mutual understanding. You have an honest conversation, and you have to remember that people change, their feelings change, their goals change, their direction in life change, their beliefs change, their perspective change, and whatever. And you have to accept that too. So that's another thing. Even if you have an honest and open communication and understanding, people still change, right? Just when you're dating in a romantic relationship, you should try to identify people who is violating you, manipulating you, taking you for granted, using you, especially if you know you cannot withstand these type of situations, right? So I'll just give some examples of how people are in survival mode, and you be with them and you get used, you get manipulated. I'm not pointing the finger at people who are in survival mode. And the people who are being with people in survival mode, you have your own responsibility. You have to take accountability for your actions in showing up for them, taking care of them, helping them with basic needs, in hopes that they give you love, attention, relationship, and so on, right? So, for example, maybe I meet a guy and getting to know each other, whatever, and then he offer me to move in with him. Okay, I'm in survival mode. I lack a place to stay. I'm struggling with money. I lack transport. I say okay. He has transport. I say okay. I move in with him because I'm in survival mode, right? I don't stay anywhere. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I lack transport, right? I may not like him. I may not love him. I may not care about him. But I move in with him because I need to survive. That's just an example of somebody being, like, I was in survival mode. And I go and I get married to him. And then after a couple years, I realize, wow, this is really an unhappy marriage. And then I get divorced. Maybe I level up myself and I leave, I get divorced. Maybe we had a child, I take the child, I get custody of the child, and so on and so forth, and I just divorce him. And then he might say, oh, you're ungrateful, you took my child, you took my money, you took my resources, you leave, you use me for my house, you use me for and whatever. But I was in survival mode, trying to survive, trying to get somewhere to live, living paycheck to paycheck, need financial support, transport I don't have. So then that is how people get used when somebody else is in survival mode. Maybe, and it's vice versa. I'm not trying to say that women use men, men use women, women use men. It's vice versa. Everything I'm saying here, all these scenarios are the examples I'm giving now. So maybe a girl meets a guy. She's in survival mode. She is renting, she need money to pay rent, maybe she have a child, okay, cool. This guy, he gets involved with her, and then he start paying her rent, and then he could also start to take care of the child is not his child. So then he's doing that in hopes that she be in a relationship with him, she commit to him, and she be with him and only him, right? Okay, she want to pay her rent, money problems, he's paying her rent, say okay cool, I'll be with you, I'll be faithful to you. He's taking care of the child is getting to eat, getting to go school, better life, okay cool. She's in survival mode, her child need to eat, and she ends up telling him yes, I'll be with you and only you, but then she probably doesn't really like him, she doesn't love him, she probably don't care about him. And then eventually, after a couple months, maybe she cheat on him and be with somebody who she actually likes, and then obviously they will break up. And then he might be, oh my god, you use me, I pay your rent, I take care of this other man's child and all of these things, and oh my gosh, you're ungrateful, you use me, and so on. So it's like the guy also have to take accountability for being with someone in survival mode and paying rent and taking care of other people's child in hopes that you get a relationship and that you get commitment, and she being with you and only you, and you might not have talked about this, you might not have explained why you're paying the rent, why you're taking care of her child, and then maybe she's in survival mode, she needs her rent to pay, and she accepts. That is how people get used in relationship and dating, right? So maybe there's other scenarios I actually see play out in real life, and the ones that I just mentioned, that those happen in real life, and maybe there's another scenario I see happen in real life, and it's often, it's like when a guy will probably don't have a job, don't have nowhere to stay, and then he's dating this girl, a young lady, and she offers him to move in because he don't live nowhere, he don't have constant money coming in, maybe he have a side hustle or something, but he don't have a real job and he's not stable. So she helps him to get a job, he move in with her, and then over time maybe he start to build his finances, start to level himself up, and maybe he does not really love her, he does not really like her, he does not really care about her, but she's helping him, he have somewhere to stay, she's helping him financially, and then after he gets himself together, he leaves. That happens a lot. He was in survival mode and she probably was doing all of these things in hopes that she'll get married, in hopes that she'll get a serious commitment, and that doesn't happen. It like, yes, it could happen, but most of the time it doesn't happen. They leave after they already use you. You know, it's highly unlikely a man would pay you back and commit to you and start providing for both of you after he built his finances and built himself up, right? So, or maybe she paid for his courses, or she paid for the seminars that he needed the information so he could get a better job, and he could get a better job, and he learned how to build his finances and he moved up. But after he built up himself, most of the time, women and men, it's like they leave and they go and be with someone else and they go and take care of someone else. So that's another way you get used in dating and romantic relationship. He was in survival mode, he needed help, he accepted the help, probably didn't care about her, he probably didn't like her, or maybe he cared before, maybe he was in love before, and then after a while he just feelings change, direction change, right? And it's vice versa with women. You know, maybe there's a guy or girl, and he pays for your university, he pays for your courses or whatever, your tuition or whatever. You graduate, you get a job, and then you leave. You go be with someone else after you get your job. That happens a lot. I see that happening. I hear that happening, and it's often. I don't know why, but it happens. People get used. People get manipulated in romantic relationship, dating, right? So, what I would say, if you want to help someone, you help them genuinely, without looking back for anything, or you're trying to help them in hopes that you get this, which is not wrong, but you have to have an open, honest conversation about what are we using each other for, right? So help people from the goodness of your heart. Help people because you want to help them and not because you're looking back for something, right? Have an honest, if you have an honest conversation and you get a mutual understanding about what you're going to use each other for, okay, and keep your end of the bargain, right? I mean, unless you're with somebody who is honest, genuine, they love you for who you are, they really care about you, okay, cool. But we have to remember and know that in society, people are in survival mode. You could be in survival mode. People are trying to get by. People are trying to get their basic needs met. They need money. They need to pay their bills. They need to pay their rent. They need a shelter. They need somewhere to stay. They need water. They need electricity. They need some Wi-Fi. They need, their transport is not in order. When you don't have these things in order, you use people because you're in survival mode and you're going to do anything. Maybe you need to feed your child and all of these things. So that is how you get used, manipulated in relationships and dating because somebody is in survival mode, right? I hope this video was useful, and if you like this content, hit the like button. If you want, you could subscribe, and see you in the next video.